Alright, boys and girls, in this video I'm going to show you how to change the background of a photo to something else. So let's just get started. I'm going to go ahead and open up Bridge and so I can look at my photos. And first tip I want to give you is that the more your subject stands out from the background, the easier this will be. For example, this would be actually pretty easy to remove the background from, because this guy is a lot of different colors that aren't really the same as the background, and the background is blurry and he's sharp. So this would be actually a really easy photo to remove the background from. But I always hate it in tutorials when they show you how to do things with the easiest photo possible. So let's find a photo that would be a little bit harder to do. Although if you have a photo like this one, this might be the one you want to use. Let me show you a little bit harder photo. Alright, so here's a photo that's going to be a little more difficult. We've got some issues here. One, this photo was taken at a really high ISO, so we've got a lot of noise in the image. That's going to make it a little bit harder. Notice how his hair is dark and this background is dark. That's going to cause us trouble. Same issue right here. We got dark shoes and socks and then a dark purple background. So let's give this one a shot, because this one is definitely going to be a challenge. If you can do this one, you can do anything. So the first thing I'm going to do is open this photo up in Photoshop, and then you're going to want to open up Google and do a Google search for the background you want to put behind your person. So maybe we want to search for Hawaii or something like that. So I'll do a Google search for it. I'll click here on Images, and then super important, you want to come right here and go to Search Tools, Size, Large, because we want to make sure we're dealing with a big, large photo. And let's see if I can find a nice beach scene that will work. This will probably work. It's a little too fake, but we're not going to try to make this super realistic. So I want to click on this, and then I want to wait. Sometimes there will be a little bar down here at the bottom that's moving. That means the image is loading. You want to make sure you wait till the image is loaded. You also want to make sure you click on it. Don't try to download this image. Click on it, then right click, and we're looking for something like Save Image As or Save Picture or something like that. So we're going to Save Image As. This is going to pop up. We're going to browse to our folder. Here's the period 3 folder. I'm going to go in here and find my folder. And whoops, this was called Hawaii until I clicked on the clone stamp file. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that as Hawaii, hit save, and there you go. I've got this image downloaded. Now I can close this. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up that picture. So I'll go to File, Open. Come in here, come into my folder. Here's the Hawaii picture right there. And there we go. So now I've got these two images open. I've got him, and I've got Hawaii. And what I want to do is change the background of this image so that it looks like he's standing in Hawaii, not standing in the gym. Well, the easiest way to do that is not to change the background of this image, but to actually just take Edgar from this image and put him in here. So what I'm going to do is come over and grab my rectangular marquee tool. It's hanging out right here. I'm going to just check up here, make sure this feather is set to 0 up at the top there, and I'm just going to draw a fairly generous box around him. Don't try to draw it like super tight, like I cut off his shoe. Give yourself some room to work with here. Leave some extra space. If you want to, you can click inside of this box and move it around. If you completely screw up, click outside of the box and it'll go away, and then you can just click and drag another box. And that looks pretty good right there. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm now going to switch to my Move tool, which is keyboard shortcut V, and I need to move this into my Hawaii picture. The easiest way to do that is come up here and right to this box at the top of the screen where it says Arrange Documents. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to tell it to put these two documents side by side, just like that. And then now with my Move tool selected, I'll just click and drag Edgar over here. I'm actually done with this now. I'm going to go ahead and just close this one. Do I want to save it? No, I don't. And you can see Edgar is going to be much too large to fit into this image. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit by pressing Control minus or Control plus on my keyboard. And then I'm going to resize Edgar so he fits well. So I'm going to do that by pressing Control T. You see this box pops up around my image. Super, super important. Always, 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 whenever you're using Control T, always hold down Shift and only drag from the corners. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people do stuff like this with their photos. Oh, that drives me crazy. That doesn't look right. What we need to do is we need to lock the proportions. We need to tell Photoshop, don't change this shape. You can make it bigger or smaller, but don't stretch it out. To do that, we hold down Shift and drag from the corners. If I do that, I'm not allowed, Photoshop will not allow me to ruin the proportions. If you do it from here or here, from the sides, even though I'm holding down Shift, Photoshop will still allow me to screw it up. So if you screw up, press Escape, Control T, hold down Shift, drag from the corners, and do your best to get about the size you want. You'll notice I'm not going to include his feet in the image, because if I do, it will look even worse. So I'm going to just leave his feet off the bottom. And now we are ready to remove all of this background. There are about 8 billion different ways to do this in Photoshop. I'm going to show you my favorite way and what I think is the easiest way. I'm going to come over here on the toolbar. I'm going to choose the Quick Selection tool, keyboard shortcut W. And you can see it makes a brush. It makes a circle. And just like all circles in Photoshop, we can make it smaller by using the left bracket key, bigger by using the right bracket key. So I'm going to use the left bracket key to make it nice and small, just a little bit bigger than Edgar's head. I'm just going to start right here, keeping the circle at all times inside of his body. I'm just going to start clicking and dragging. You can see Photoshop's trying to do its best to guess where the edges are. Now it's screwed up right here. I'm not too worried about that. All I'm worried about right now is getting a good selection. So I'm going to just keep on going. And you can see it's having a really hard time. It included all of that, but it's doing a great job right here and right there. That's okay. I'm just going to keep going. Oh, it did a good job around his shorts and his leg right there. Right here I need to make it a little bit smaller so it'll fit on his leg. Perfect. I'm going to come down here and get this sock. And so it screwed up right there. Got all that too. But I'm off to a pretty decent start. And I can clean this up pretty easily. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key. And notice how right in the middle of my circle it's a plus sign. And that means whenever I click it's going to add to the selection. Well, when I hold down Alt, it changes to a minus sign. So as long as I'm holding down Alt, I'm removing from the selection. So I'm going to come around here. All these spots that I added that I didn't want, I'm just going to click in those while holding down the Alt key. And if it accidentally removes too much, then I'll let go of Alt and I'll click back right on the edge of that area to add that back in. So I'm looking around here. That's pretty good. I'm not going to worry about how it didn't get right inside his lips. That's not that big of a deal. So here's another part where it added too much. So I'll just hold down Alt, click in that, and then you can see it accidentally erased some of his shirt. That's okay. I'll let go of Alt. Just come in and click there. This is going to be a problem right here, so hold down Alt and come and click through this. And you can see it did a pretty good job of getting that. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. That's looking pretty good. I come down here. Now I got this section right here, so I'm going to make my brush nice and small. Hold down Alt. Come through here. And just do a few clicks right there. A few clicks right here. See if I can't clean that up a little bit. Oh, that's looking pretty good. Again, I'm not trying to go perfect. I'm just trying to get really close. So that little spot right there, I'll get that. And then how about if I can get this right here, holding down Alt, I should be pretty good to go. So I'm going to zoom out, take a look at my whole thing, see if I missed anything or forgot any parts. And I think I'm pretty good. I'm liking the look of this right here. Now, we're not done yet. Now, I'm going to come up to the top of my screen and click on this Refine Edge button. And this is Photoshop's way of cleaning up the selection we just made. So the first thing you want to do is reset everything to 0. So what I'm doing is just I clicked in the first box right here, and I typed 0, and then tab, 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, tab, 0. Now I'm going to just start at the top, which is the radius slider. I'm going to take this up, which obviously way too far. That's not a very good looking edge right there. Now I'm going to slowly bring it back. I bring it back about 10 points, and then I stop and look at it. Keep coming. So keep coming. Every photo is going to be different, so I might settle on a number here, but that doesn't mean that's going to be the right number for you. I'm going to stop right around there, right around 5.5. And I feel like that is a pretty good looking edge right there. Now, radius, what it does is it makes the edge a little bit softer. So to bring back some of the hardness of the edge, we're going to use contrast. And I usually never bring the contrast slider farther right than the radius slider is. So if my radius is right here, I'm not looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the location. If my radius is right here, I'll go here, and then I'll just start slowly bringing it back a little bit, just like I did with the radius slider. And that's a good balance right there. I got some of the detail in my edge back, but it still looks pretty good. Now, these ones down here are optional. I might try a little smooth and see if I like the effect of it. Smooth sometimes takes a moment to load, but with people, I don't like smooth a whole lot. What it does is it really smooths out the edges. You can see it smooths his nose out right there. That's no good. So I'm going to bring this one down, 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 and not do very much there. Feather is good if you want a soft edge, but we usually don't. I don't usually do more than less than one feather, so 0.4. Then contract and expand, that's going to make our selection either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. And again, with people, I might do -2 or 3, but again, I don't want to go very far. Now I'm looking, I missed a couple spots. I didn't get perfect right there or right there in his fingers, but that's okay. This is still a good looking selection. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. Now we're almost done. All I have to do now is add a layer mask to this. And so all I'm going to do is click right on here, and that adds a layer mask. And you can see that removed most of the background for me. Awesome. See my layer mask? It's already all filled in. Now all I got to do is come in with the brush tool. And remember, if it's set to black, my brush is a little too big there. So maybe I want to come in and just clean up this edge just a little bit. Well, I can set that to black, and I can clean that up right there. Or maybe it accidentally got a little too much, like I feel like we missed a chunk of his arm right there. So I'm going to switch it to white, and I can actually bring that back right about like so. So now I'm just going to go through and use a black and white brush to kind of clean up my edge a little bit. Right here in between these fingers, I'll come in here with a real small black brush and just clean that up a little bit right there and right there. Once I've gone through and cleaned up the edge, the last thing I want to do is come in and do maybe a little levels adjustment. I don't want to do a normal adjustment in the normal levels adjustment layer, because if I do that, that's going to do it to my entire image. Well, I don't want my Hawaii image to be leveled. I only want Edgar, this photo of Edgar, to have the levels done on it. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing a levels adjustment layer, is I'll just click here on this layer. Make sure that you click on this white box, the layer thumbnail, not on the layer mask. So click on that, and then come up and do image adjustments, levels. And this will only do levels on Edgar. If I can just kind of brighten this up. Increase the contrast just a little bit. Whoops, that's darker, not brighter. That's going to help it look a little more realistic. It's not going to look great because these aren't very good photos to try to combine. But just like that, I have changed the background of my image. Once you're done, save it as a PSD and save it as a JPEG, and then turn it in on Flickr and Canvas, and you're done.